Today we are testing out our first WinPE creator, PhoenixPE. In this video, we will see how to use PhoenixPE and what are the advantages and disadvantages of PhoenixPE. So let's get started. So I will just write in Google PhoenixPE and press enter, and I will enter the first result. I will just go down below and press on downloads. From here, I will get the latest release of PhoenixPE. As you can see, it still gets updated. That is a good thing. So the first advantage, it gets updated. That means even if it has issues, it will be fixed. Also, more features will be added to the program. Let's go down below and look for the download link. This is the download link. I'll just press on it and the download will start right away. After the download finished, you will get a compressed file. Just extract using WinRAR or any other alternative. I will extract too. After I extracted the program, now I can delete that compressed file. I don't need it anymore. Now I will enter the folder and start the program. The first thing that I do like about PhoenixPE is that very basic simple interface, which is very ideal for beginners. The second advantage, very basic interface, very ideal for beginners. Now let's move on and see how the program works. The first thing I need to do is go to source config. Now I need a Windows 10 2004 ISO or Windows 11 22H2 or Windows 11 23H2 to be able to create a WinPE. Okay, so here I got a Windows 10 2004 ISO. All I need to do is press right click, 7-zip and press on extract to. The ISO will be extracted into a folder. Now I don't need this ISO anymore, so I can just delete it. Now all I need to do is go back to the program and press on this icon and look for the folder that contains the Windows ISO files. I will press on it and press select folder. Now it will load up. It finished loading and the hard step is done. Everything else will be much easier. Keep in mind the default settings are the best settings. Also, you can click on this icon that will show advanced options. You can press yes, there is no problem with that. It will show you more options. If you know how to modify or what these options mean, you can change them. If you don't know what they mean, you can leave it on the default settings. You can also turn this off if you're not planning to use the advanced options. We will not be using the advanced options in this video. Okay, so let's start creating or choosing how our WinPE will look like and what it will contain. First thing is the core. Most of the options that contains that lock icon means it cannot be removed. What you need to do is look at each option one by one and choose the options you want. So the first thing we can choose from is the core config. Now we don't understand most of the stuff here, so I created a list that contains some information that will help us decide what each options mean. So the first thing is the WinPE cache size. The WinPE cache size means how much you can use of your RAM, and there's a note, choose highest number. So always when you get this option, always choose the highest number you can find. It's 8 GB. If you don't understand what this means right now, you understand later when I explain what does this actually mean. Moving on to the core WoW64, it means your WinPE can run 32 programs. The note says always choose having it. That's why it is marked. It also says the same thing here, that allows 32-bit programs to run. Let's move on to the shell. It contains what we have explained before. The first thing is the loader. The loader is the pre-shell. This thing contains the commands that will initiate and start your WinPE. If you look here, there's an icon that shows advanced options. If you press yes, you will get to modify the script that contains the commands that starts and initiates your WinPE. The only problem that this is not BECMD and it is not a CMD file. So this is the first problem with PhoenixPE. You can't choose to have PECMD or a CMD file. You are stuck with this option, which is AutoIT3. The only problem, it is hard to modify this script. It is possible to modify it and add your own commands, but it is very hard compared to PECMD or a CMD file. A CMD file is just a batching script file, just some normal Microsoft Windows commands. This AutoIT is something totally different. So the only disadvantage right now of PhoenixPE, it doesn't have PECMD option, only AutoIT3. So we are stuck with AutoIT3. We will have to keep going. I will turn this off and leave the script on its default configurations. Moving forward to Explorer shell, this is what we have talked about. It says the shell Windows File Explorer, which is Explorer shell, or WinX shell. You can choose to have WinX shell and remove the mark from Explorer shell. Now you have WinX shell. If you don't want to have WinX shell and have Explorer shell, now you have Explorer shell. It is just very basic, and it says it's up to you, so you choose whatever you prefer. Moving on to the start menu. The start menu could be open shell or start all back or start is back plus. It's also up to you. You can choose to have start all back or start is back. You just remove the check mark and put the check mark on the option you prefer. So I will just leave it on start is back because I prefer start is back. Moving on to the components. The components mean the features that your WinPE will contain. For an example, like network and audio. Keep in mind, this is also up to you. You can choose to have network and audio. You can create a WinPE without network and without audio. It depends on what you prefer. Also, keep in mind, more features mean more size, more kernel size, more RAM required. That is something very important. So if you choose to have networking, you need to have PE network. Also, keep in mind, some of them doesn't work, like the Bluetooth. It's mentioned here, pairing devices from the Bluetooth tray icon will not work. Keep in mind to check if the feature work or not. The camera does work, the DirectX does work, and so on with the other features. You need to check each feature and choose and put the check mark on whatever you prefer. Let's move forward. Going to tweaks. The tweaks are like some settings you define in your WinPE. You can't change the settings in your WinPE and save it. So the settings has to be defined through PhoenixPE. What you are creating is a WinPE, not a normal Microsoft Windows. Check each one of these and remember to put the check mark if you will be changing the settings. Moving on. Going to applications, these are the programs that will be added to your WinPE. You don't have to add all the programs, you just choose what do you want to have. Let's move in each list and choose one from each list. Accessibility contains on-screen keyboard. Let's increase the size a little bit. Now we will choose to have the on-screen keyboard. Let's choose from backup and imaging. Let's choose AOMI Backupper. Now the most important option you need to keep your eye on is the run from RAM. It means run from RAM means more size, means more kernel size, means more RAM required. So if you will choose to run from RAM, it means you need more RAM to start your WinPE. We will check this in a different program. It also means the program will be added inside the kernel. That's why your kernel size will increase, and that means you need more RAM. Let's move on. Benchmarking. Let's choose Crystal Disk Mark. Developer Tools. Let's choose Process Monitor. Let's choose from here Crystal Disk Info. Moving on. Disk Management. AOMI Partition Assistant. I'm just choosing some programs that I do prefer. Now there's some important option you should keep your eye on, which are the shortcuts. So you could choose to have a shortcut on your desktop or pin to start menu. I will choose to have this option in some examples to show you how it looks like after you create your WinPE. So let's move on. Encryption, let's choose VeroCrypt. File management. Now here comes something very important. We will choose from file management 7-zip. Now if you look at this program, it says it will be associated with some file extensions. That is something very important. File associations mean which program open which file types. So it means that 7-zip will open the compressed files like .7z and RAR files. Now what you need to understand, you can't change the location of this program later on. We will be modifying our WinPE after it gets created. If the program is associated with some file types, you can't change the place of this program. If you change it, all the associations will fail and the program will not work as expected. So you have to choose if you will run it from RAM or run it from your USB. So I will choose from this to run from RAM. Let's move on. Let's choose from here Recover, choose from here Asset Online Scanner, Multimedia. Now here comes another program. Let's say I choose MPC, which is Media Player Classic. It will be set as a default audio player, which means it will be associated with the extensions of audio files like MP3, and it will be associated with the video files like MP4 and AVI. I can't change the location of this program after I create my WinPE. If I change the location, all these associations will fail and the program will not work as expected. Networking has Mozilla Firefox. Let's choose from here Windows Lock and Unlocker. Productivity has Notepad++. System information. Let's choose CPU ZAT. System tools. Let's just choose WinNT setup. Each program has some different settings, so always remember to choose these settings based on what you prefer, like the desktop shortcuts and start menu shortcuts, and what the name of the folder in the start menu and the shortcut name. What you need to keep in mind, the network drivers. The network drivers are the Wi-Fi drivers. If you choose to have them, you might boot up and find your Wi-Fi working. Keep in mind, this will increase the kernel size, which means more RAM required. The driver integration. Always remember to book. You can integrate drivers while your WinPE gets created. How to use it? If you click on this icon, it will open up the folder. So this folder contains my drivers. Your drivers will look something like that. You need to copy your folder that contains your drivers and just paste it in this folder. These drivers will be added when your WinPE gets created. Now you can close this and we are back. So I placed my drivers in the folder. It will be added when my WinPE gets created. I will put the check mark on driver integration. Now keep an eye on this option, export host drivers. It will export the drivers from your Microsoft Windows that you are using right now. So you can export the drivers installed on your PC and add it to the WinPE you are creating. There is one important option here at Capture Win. Increase the compression to the highest level, which is LZX. Now we have finished choosing all the options we want. Now we can press on build and just wait until it finishes loading. Keep in mind, it will download some files and the programs you choose to have from the internet. So make sure your internet connection is working fine. It finally finished. The build was successful. Press OK. Error is 0. We can press close. Now we can test our WinPE. If I go inside the program folder and I go inside output, I will find the WinPE that I have created. To test your WinPE, it is very simple. You can test it using a VM like Oracle VM VirtualBox, or by burning it on a flash drive and booting up from the flash drive. Let's first test it in a VM to make sure it does work and that it does boot up. Press OK. PE network. Now we have our WinPE. The network is working fine. Now we can start the browser and see if it works. And it works. As you can see, the program we choose to have are inside the start menu, organized in folders exactly how we choose to have them. If you look at the program, CPU ZAT, it should be in the start menu and in system information folder. System information, and right, it is in system information. So you know what does the shortcut means. Crystal disk mark is on the desktop. If you look up, we choose to have it on the desktop. So we did choose to have a shortcut on the desktop and to bend to taskbar. That's why the program is bent to taskbar. Now you know what does this mean. Also, if you want to know what does the run from RAM mean, if you press right click on your ISO 7-zip, open archive and go to sources boot.wim and open the folder program files, you will find the programs you choose to run from RAM. Let's take a look. So here we got 7-zip on run from RAM. It is here inside. We also choose to have Mozilla Firefox to run from RAM. That's why it is inside. That's why these programs are inside the boot.wim. Now if you go back, you will find in your ISO a programs folder. This folder contains the programs that you choose to not run from RAM. Like for an example, in PC, Media Player Classic, it is here outside because we didn't choose to run from RAM. So now you know what this option means. Now if you go inside sources boot.wim and go inside Windows and go to the folder INF, we can find these OEM files. These files mean that the drivers we choose to integrate has been integrated successfully. So if you find these files in your WinPE, then the drivers you choose to integrate has been integrated successfully. Now if we look and open this PC, we will find the boot that's taking the letter X is 4 GB. If we go up and look for the option that says core config, we did here choose 8 GB, but seems 8 GB doesn't work. The only option that works is 4 GB. What this means, so the 4 GB that got chosen here, it made this partition 4 GB. This is the 4 GB. This is what it means. You might be asking why the icons on the desktop is so big. That's because we choose to have the icon size on medium. You can change all the settings on what you prefer. So let's close PhoenixPE. We need to test our WinPE on a real machine. So I will close the VM and I will close this. Now I got my flash drive. I will connect my flash drive. And I have Rufus, which I will use to burn this ISO file on my flash drive. Now it has finished and it's saying ready. Now I can close Rufus and now I can test my WinPE on a real PC. Now I will choose from the boot menu my flash drive. Let's see if it will boot up and work. So it does boot up and it does work. I'll press OK. Now I need to connect to my Wi-Fi and see if it works. It says connected. So let's start the browser. And it does actually work. So testing on a real machine, on a real PC also work. You can create your own PE using PhoenixPE, especially if you are a beginner. It is just very easy to use. Now I can close this PC, and everything works as expected. So the test on a real PC works fine. If you want to know, this is my test PC. It's an AMD A8. Just in case you are wondering which PC I have used to test my WinPE. So the third advantage, it is very ideal for beginners. The only disadvantage, it doesn't have PE CMD option as a loader, only Auto IT 3, which is hard to modify and requires much experience. So PhoenixPE is a very good WinPE creator and I do like it. And as I said, the only problem with it doesn't have PE CMD. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, just write them down below in the comments. Wish you best of luck and see you in the next one.